Most people think Boquete is just one town with one climate. But after living here, I've learned that's not true at all. Today, I'm talking with fellow expat, Shameka, who's here raising her 10-year-old son. She's going to break down 4 different areas in and around Boquete and explain where you can live here and completely change your life. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Shameka, and I've been here in Panama almost 2 years now. I'm here singly, just me and my son. He's 10 years old, and our relocation here has been absolutely terrific. It's been fantastic. It's beautiful. I homeschool my son here, and we are thriving perfectly.
Great, great, great. If you're a single parent, this opens up for you as well. As you can see, she has done it. So she is an example for all of us. So we're going to start with the first area and we're going to talk about where it's located, what's the weather like in that area, and who would typically enjoy living in that type of area. So I'll let her elaborate on that one area we're going to discuss first.
Okay, one of the areas that I really particularly like is Boquete, of course, but you have different communities, different little small towns located in Boquete. You have Bajo Boquete, which is the central part. That's where the main town is, where mostly everybody hangs or thrives at. All the restaurants, all the different shops, all the grocery stores, all the different, just basically everything you can do. You have pedal ball, you have, oh gosh, you have tennis, you have just about everything or every activity you would like is there in Bajo Boquete. You also have the mountainous parts of Boquete, which is Volcancito. That's very mountainous. They are currently working on the roads there right now because the roads really isn't that, perfect. But it's really nice if you like the mountains, if you love the scenery. You also have Jaramillo, that's on the other side, which is another part of the mountainous areas, which is also nice. You have so many different areas. I can't name them all because it's so many, but it just basically depends on what you like, what you prefer. If you want to live in the mountains, you can live in the mountains. If you want to live in the flatlands, you can live in Alto Boquete. That's more of the flatlands. Again, you have a lot of things there too. You're close to Bajo, which is the central. I can go on forever. Okay, so basically, the people that would actually want to relocate to these areas would be the adventurous one, a person who loves the scenery, who loves the mountains. A lot of the areas that I was talking about, as far as Jaramillo and Volcancito, up in those areas, they're typically more like I said, the adventurous person who loves hiking. There's a lot of lakes and waterfalls up in certain areas up there too. So, like I said, the roads, however, is not really that good, but they are working on them. So if you are not mobile, you may want to stay closer to the Bajo area and the Alto Boquete area. Because up there in Jaramillo and Valpancito, you'll definitely need a car because it is up there high in the mountains. And again, like I said, the roads are not that good. So you definitely wouldn't want to be walking up and down those roads for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we talked about, let me just come back in here. So we talked a little bit about the 2 areas. She talked about Bajo. Actually talked about 3 areas. Bajo, Bocacito, and what was the other one?
Jaramillo.
Jaramillo.
I don't know if I'm saying
So
that right.
we're close, right? So we talked a little bit about who that would be good for. So now we're going to move down the mountain and we're going to go to the other side, like going closer to David, where it's a little bit warmer. She'll give you a couple of areas down towards that area so you can have an understanding of what the temperatures are like and what the areas are like. So I'll let her go into those areas.
Okay, thank you. So moving down the mountain from Bajo, you have Alto Boquete. Now, that's an area that's huge because that's the main road. That main road goes all the way through Alto Boquete. Now, there's countless of communities there. I can't even start to name all those different communities, but it's more in the flatlands. The closer you get to David, it's going to get a lot hotter. So the more closer to Bajo, the mountains, you're going to have the cooler climates. But the closer you move down, going towards David, you're definitely going to get a lot more sun. So the areas that's close to what I'm referring to is, of course, you have David, you have Los Algarrobas.
Dolega, which is a little bit warmer as well. So we've talked about several different areas here in Boquete, in and around near Boquete and David. So we wanted to give you guys an example of reference to go from, because a lot of people ask me like about Alto, they ask me about Boquete, but they don't really know that that area is broken up into so many different compartments, right? So I wanted Miss Shameka to kind of give you an idea. She's not an expert, like I told you, but she does know a lot more than me. So I wanted her to give you guys some idea as to what the areas are like. So like if you were living in David, Los Arrebos, and Dolega, may not be saying it right, but those areas are closer to David, right? So they're going to be warmer. There is a temperature difference from Alto, which is where I live at, to downtown Boquete. That temperature difference is about 4 degrees. So typically, if Boquete is 70 degrees, we're going to be 74, 73, 74. And as you go towards David and Los Arrebos, it goes up. So I don't know exactly how much the temperature difference is. I want to say maybe 5 or 6. I don't know. What do you think?
Something around that. I wouldn't go all the way up to like 10 degrees, but it is a degree difference. You can definitely feel it.
Yeah. And I want to give you an example of what David and really David. Give you an example of what the weather would feel like. If you're from the States and you know what Miami feels like, or in from Miami, maybe Florida, not so much close to the water. So you know if you're in the interior of any country that's warm, it's hotter. So we don't have the water in this area blowing directly into the city like you would have in Panama City, right? It's right there by the water. So you're going to have a breeze all the time. Whereas in David, you won't have that breeze like that all the time. Just something for you to think about.
All the different things here in Boquete, but you'll love it regardless of what area you want to permanently stay in. Okay, so another area that I wanted to mention is Dolega. Dolega is another area going towards David. It's not located in David. It's coming from Bajo. It's before you get to David. That's another area. To me personally, it's more centered around the more retirees. A lot of people that I know that lives in Dolega, they're retired, they're older. They do have like community restaurants, local stores. But if you want to do most of your shopping at like the bigger stores, you want to be around more restaurants, more international restaurants, should I say. You would want to live closer to Bajo. But another area I wanted to also mention, like I said, is Los Algarrobas. That's where I live. I chose Los Algarrobas because, first of all, it was cheaper than living in Bajo. What's the word? The influctuation.
That's it.
That's actually happening. The rent is a lot more expensive in Bajo. The more closer you get up there, the more you're going to pay in the rent. So I want it to be a little bit more cheaper area where I get more bang for my buck. So I moved closer to David, which is in Los Alamos. But David is a whole, now I think David is like the second or third largest city in Panama.
Yes.
I think Panama City is the first.
Yes.
La Chorrera, I think, is like the second, and David is the third.
Okay.
So, like I said, David is a whole nother, like, humongous place. But there are a lot of different communities in David. You have San Pablo, you have San Pablo Viejo, which is a little bit further down the road in David, but it's a lot hotter there. So if you're okay with the heat, if you're okay with the sun, if you're okay with running your AC all day, all night, then you can.
So let me just ask you a question. I'm sorry. So I did want to highlight that the rent costs in those areas where she mentioned just recently are less, and so you can find a nice home to rent with a gate, fence yard, and everything for about.
Depending, it depends. You can find places for $600, $650, all the way up to $1,000. But you're going to get more bang for your buck if you're okay with the heat.
And that's important. You have to be okay with the heat, but you do have your better options there financially wise. One thing I wanted to ask her real quick before, we're not going to keep you all night, but I did want to ask her one thing that people have been asking me about, and that's the rainy season. How the rainy season is. From my experience, it has not rained like it's supposed to, from what I heard. I heard that El Nino has changed our weather pattern just a little bit. So I wanted Ms. Shameka to tell you a little bit about the weather in her experience. She's been here through a couple rainy seasons. So she's going to kind of give us an idea of, the rain, if there is flooding, where, is it wise to be in certain areas when it rains heavy? So I'll let her go into that.
All right, so the rainy season, now that's a whole nother level. It rains a lot here. It does, especially in the mountainous areas, especially in Bajo. There's a lot of flooding. I know I've been here, like I said, 2 years. The first year, Bajo Boquete flooded out. I mean, when I say flooded out, it flooded out. A lot of the mountains, it had mountain slides, mud slides coming down the mountain. And I don't want to scare nobody because this is a beautiful place, but I also have to tell you the good and the bad sides.
That's right.
Because you just never know, and these last couple of years since I've been here, it has been a lot of flooding. However, this year been pretty good. We are in the end of May and it barely has rained. So, you just never know, but I just want you to be cautious when you are thinking about relocating here because we do get rain, a lot of rain most of the year.
So with the rainy season, how typically does it work? Does it rain all day? And do people here, how do they manage the rain? Do they stay inside or do they just keep going when the rain is going? How is a typical rainy season here?
Well, because it rains most of the year here, people are used to it. So that does not stop them from getting out, going to restaurants, because it's been times it's been pouring down, raining, and I've seen people out where I couldn't even find a park. And I'm like, won't y'all go home? It's raining outside. But they're used to it, so it doesn't really stop anything here.
So what about the times? How is the rain? Is it all day or can you kind of predict when the rain, or how do you see the timing?
Well, you can never predict the weather, but the couple of years that I've been here, in the beginning of the rainy season, it doesn't rain that much, but more you go into the rainy season, like in the middle and especially towards the end, it rains mostly all day. Like I said, in the beginning, in the middle, you will start to get the rain mostly in the afternoons, a lot of thundering, a lot of lightning. You have sometimes your electricity go out. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot to consider. But I mean, you're going to have the good and the bad everywhere you go here. It doesn't matter if you're in Panama City, it doesn't matter where you're located. This is just how it is here living in Panama.
Yes.
So it just depends on what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to, take in.
Yes. So, with that being said, I just wanted to thank Shameka for being here. And I have a kind of good story about how I met her. So, I came down to Boquete around my birthday time in February, and that was my first time visiting. And me and my husband were having coffee at a place called Unido. And we were walking out, going home, and a young lady was sitting out front in her car. And when I walked by, as you can see, I don't know if you see her arm here. You see her arm, and then you see mine, right? So the first thing she said was, "Sis, I love your artwork." And that was it. We became fast friends, and ever since then, we've been like side kicking it, both of us. So yes, we hang together a lot. She shows me so much. She is so advanced in her relocation process. Everybody's process is different. What you're looking for is different, but she's advanced into where she's going in her life, and I'm learning so much from her. And I wanted to bring her on here so I can share the wealth, because it's not fair for me to get all of the juice when I can give you some. So
Give me some of that juice, girl.
So we want to thank you guys for tuning in. We want to hopefully you have learned some information. Maybe you have decided what area you want to visit when you come to Boquete. So yeah, hit me up, let me know, and thank you for tuning in. And I will see you on the next episode.